Kennedy-Glans, member for Calgary Varsity.
I have to say that I'm absolutely delighted by what I've observed over the last 2 weeks in this House. I've heard people speak to this bill with real passion and experience, and I've seen people listen. I'm very, very heartened by that approach to resolving this bill. I'm going to speak against the amendment on the understanding that in the Committee of the Whole, this bill will be referred to an all-party standing committee on economic futures, perhaps. But I want to talk a little more broadly about what might be considered in that all-party committee. Certainly the issue of pensions, and I'm a big fan of looking into pensions. I think we have to be fiscally responsible, and we do have to figure out what we're going to do with all of our pension plans, provincially and federally. What's happened in Ontario is really quite startling for most of us. But while we're looking at the question of consultation, which I think is at the root of the issue that we're discussing here today, I think it would be very timely and appropriate for that all-party committee to actually look at consultation and how it's done, especially in an area as complex as pension policy. For example, electricity is a very, very complex area. How do you go out into the public space, work with stakeholders who have really specific knowledge of pensions, and then work with the broader public who have a broader understanding? So it's the two pieces: how you do consultation, and then how do you raise awareness and even education of the public. So what I would recommend, Mr. Speaker, is that as we go forward with this, it's an opportunity to actually look at what are wise practices in this province and beyond these provinces' borders for consultation with key stakeholders and the public in an area as complex as this, and then also what are the wise practices for educating the public, and what are reasonable outcomes? How much time should we be spending doing that work before we assume that the public has enough information to make decisions, or that key stakeholders have enough information? Trust is also the desired outcome of all of this, and I think every speaker that's spoken to this particular bill has mentioned the failure of trust. There isn't trust here, and it's a very, very sensitive issue because it affects people's security. I'm not sure we're going to get to trust right away in all cases, and I think you can consult too much and you don't make decisions. So it's kind of the Goldilocks theory of consultation: what's too little, what's too much, what's just right. I think we have to look at what other examples work in other jurisdictions and right here, and maybe even do some consultation road mapping and a policy framework so that we can look at that and talk to the public and key stakeholders about what's reasonable in situations like this. I truly hope that the public does come to understand the importance of pension legislation on all of us, and especially our children and grandchildren. And so the education piece of this is really, really essential. Thanks, Mr. Speaker.